Hi, hello, and welcome back to CRICSTATIC Season 3 powered by Wannabe, the world's first exclusive 360 degrees buyers only requirement listing portal. I am Tasmay Krishnan, the creator and host of this podcast, and I couldn't be more enthralled to welcome you all back for another exciting episode of CRICSTATIC. I am wearing my Manja Sokka, so you can guess who I'm supporting. Not only because I'm biased towards CSK, which I openly admit, but it's also because I think they might have an upper hand today. Like Wannabe lets you have an upper hand with regard to the best updates with regard to real estate. They have a fantastic website, www.wannabe.in. You can give them a visit there if you want a more user-friendly platform. What are you waiting for? They have an app that is compatible on both iOS and Android. Wannabe app, give it a download. I'll leave the link in the description as well. And they've got all bases covered, like CSK's batting depth with regard to real estate and buying or renting. They've given them much needed development, and give them a visit if you can. If you want latest updates on sales and offers, you know what to do. Give their Insta handle Wannabe Official a follow. And with that, we begin this episode. I'm looking forward to this one. It not only because it's a CSK game, but I'm also expecting a high octane thriller from both these sides. And this match might just pip the CSK versus Mumbai rivalry in becoming the most exciting match of the season. And without any further ado, let's progress on to the review. Coming on to the Chennai Super Kings, I think Mustafizur Rahman has gone for his US visa processing, and I think that might be a clear sign that he's there in the World Cup. But I think the only possible replacement can be Mahesh Tikshana. A lot might argue saying that they can bring in the pacer, but I think the impact player will anyways be used for that. Regardless of your bowling first or bowling second, you're going to have that extra bowler in the mix. Whether it's Shardul Thakur or Tushar Deshpande, that's a question mark. But the reason I say Mahesh Tikshana is that Michael Hussey was quoted saying that this surface might be a dry surface. And Daniel Vittori, the coach of the Sunrisers Hyderabad, had said that this surface will behave far more differently from the red soil surface that they had first played their game on. So you can see that there will definitely be a difference in characterization of the pitch, and I think this might even aid a little bit with regard to the grip, but I'm nevertheless expecting a 210 game from the batting first side. And if it's CSK, I think it's going to be an all-in-all batting prowess show from the batters. Who holds key? I think it's going to be Ruturaj Gaikwad and Rachin Ravindra. Rachin Ravindra was a little, I wouldn't say he was a little assailed by the swinging delivery. You could see him that he was a little tentative with his footwork when the ball was swinging a little bit. And kudos to the Delhi Capitals for finding that out. That's a new dimension unlocked for the bowlers to bowl against the ever so classy Rachin Ravindra. And coming on to Ruturaj Gaikwad, he's looked a good player throughout the season. I mean, yes, the runs haven't shown in big numbers on the board, but you can see that he looks in touch. He looks in good touch. A lot of rumors about captaincy pressure. He's not able to cope up with captaincy pressure. But in my opinion, I think it's just a matter of time that he fires, and this might be his cue to fire this game. I definitely see Ruturaj crossing 50. This is a prediction from my end, and I think CSK has struck gold with regard to the batting side. With regard to the batting contingent, you've got a fantastic batting lineup. Shivam Dube versus the short ball. He's got to figure that out. And the only person who can bowl a short ball in that lineup, barring Marco Janssen, has got to be Patrick Cummins. Until and unless Umran Malik starts, which looks highly unlikely, I don't think any other resort is there barring Patrick Cummins. And Patrick Cummins has the ability to go short with a deep square and a deep mid. So how Shivam Dube handles him will be interesting. But a lot of people are forgetting the fact that with Samir Rizvi batting in that position and being the flamboyant player of spin that he is, sending Shivam Dube at number 4, many people look at it as a waste. They say they're going to bring on the pacers, they're going to go short onto him. So what's the use of even sending Shivam Dube? But let me tell you, Shivam Dube is sneakily doing one of the greatest roles that a number 4 can do for their franchise. He's coming in and saying that he comes in at an entry point where you would expect two spinners to operate from both the ends. Probably of different arts. You would expect a leg spinner and an off spinner, or a left arm spinner and a Chinaman, any of the two to operate from each end. But then once Dube walks out, you're seeing two fast bowlers bowling from both the ends. Or at times they're throwing in the off spinner, and that's costing them a few runs. So every alternate over, Dube is amassing around 12 runs. And when the fast bowler is coming on to bowl, all he has to do is strike the single and then give strike to his partner in crime, who is doing the rest in either Ravindra or Rahane or even Ruturaj Gaikwad. So those are three fantastic players of pace. So this is some good planning by the CSK contingent, but the main point is yet to come. By sending Shivam Dube at that slot, what you're saying is that you've got no choice but to bowl your pacers now if you want my wicket. If you're fine giving me those sixes of the spinners, then no issues. You can go ahead, because you know that this dry surface is only going to get more and more slower to bat on. So I think it is fantastic planning. They're saying you're almost exhausting 3 overs of your pacers in between, and then that forces you towards the end to bowl a spinner. And then you have Jadeja, Samir Rizvi, and you have MS Dhoni coming in at those entry points. Two of who are reputed to be big time spin hitters. They come in and they just go for the shots from ball one. So is really tampering the bowling lineup's plans. So I want to see what SRH have in store for them. And I would be surprised if T Natarajan doesn't start. In all honesty, Nattu has bowled wonderfully. If he goes on to have a good IPL, I'm going to be very bold and say this. Many might disagree with me, but that left arm seam option who can come in and bowl at the death and can take the new ball might not be the best at it, but he's able to take the new ball in the power play. I don't see a reason why T Natarajan has to be eluded from that World Cup, given that he has a good IPL. But coming on to the analysis, I feel barring Natarajan, I don't think Thakur entering the side or even Tikshana entering the side, I don't see any big change happening as of sorts. I don't think they'll try and strengthen their batting depth, because if this surface is even going to behave around 20% like how it was in the surface that gave 277 runs, then you would expect them to solidify their bowling core, give themselves more options, and I would like to see Rachin Ravindra helm the ball today. Nothing else but because having that extra bowling option in your arsenal is always lucrative as a captain. And if you can bowl Ravindra in the middle for a few overs, if you can connivingly just get 2 overs from you, then that'll be some cunning captaincy from Captain Ruturaj Gaikwad, who in my opinion is acing the captaincy test. A lot of people are saying that MS Dhoni is the one who's calling the shots from behind the wickets, but in my opinion, I think Ruturaj Gaikwad also, you could see that Daryl Mitchell was not an MSD influenced decision. It was very much a Ruturaj Gaikwad decision. We all have seen MSD that he likes having many bowling options. He likes to have 7 bowling options up his sleeves, but he likes to only utilize his 5 main bowlers. Only if something goes wrong, we would occasionally see a part-timer coming in, and that is with regard to the IPL. And that can even be his captaincy graph over the last few years, because I'm coming from a perspective where I've started ardently following the IPL from 2018, the comeback season, and the roar of the Lions was in the 2018. So then from there onwards, you haven't seen a lot of part-timers coming in and bowling a few overs, barring the first game in 2019 versus RCB where we saw Raina helm the ball. You didn't see any other left-arm spinner. So it's good to see this, that Ruturaj Gaikwad is influencing a few decisions in this lineup. But now I'm going to move on to the next segment, the toss. The toss, I don't think it's going to play a huge factor. I don't think it's the same red soil deck. So if it's the same red soil deck, bat first, you win the game. It's as simple as that. And but coming on to the toss, if it's going to be another surface, it's going to be a fresh wicket in my opinion. It's going to be a little dry off the surface is what Michael Hussey says. Whether it's perceived to be the dry that we saw in the Ahmedabad 2023 Cricket World Cup final, or is it the dry that we usually see in Chepak or we see in any other surface in the usual BGT when Australia comes to India. But I feel it's going to be a spin-aiding surface towards the second half. First half 180 to 200 will be the projected score. But because of the power-packed batting powerhouses that these sides give home to, I think it's going to be an exciting game of cricket. But a lot of people have asked how to stop Henrik Klaasen. Do you just bring on the pacers and say just bowl on the body? Don't give him any width. Let him hit you straight. Give him on that hard length. Bowl where Kagiso Rabada does in South African conditions. Don't give him any width. Or are you saying, you know what, I don't mind. I'm willing to take the gamble like what Shubman Gill did with Noor Ahmed versus him to get him bowled. Are you saying that, you know what, I don't mind taking that gamble? Because with Tikshana, I think it's going to be easy it's not going to be easy for Henrik Klaasen to make runs. If you bring in Tikshana, that is. Because Tikshana can be your bowler who can come in and wreak havoc only against 3 batsmen in this lineup. It can be Travis Head, it can be Abhishek Sharma, it can be Henrik Klaasen. And but the player to watch out for, in my opinion, is not Henrik Klaasen. It might be Travis Head and Ruturaj Gaikwad. These 2 players, in my opinion, will have a good game of cricket. And how we are going to curtail runs from their end is going to be very interesting to see. Because both these bowling lineups, yes, you've got a solid bowling core in SRH. When you look at that Indian core, you're mesmerized completely. When you have Umran Malik, who's clocking 150 and has found a pace bowling partner in another franchise in Mayank Yadav, who I'll shoot a reel about in a bit. And then you've also got another, the swing king in Bhuvaneshwar Kumar, someone who's very versatile with regard to his, direction of swinging. He's very, very hard to pick him with the in-swinger grip. He outswings the delivery. And when you've got T Natarajan, that shows the pedigree of your bowling lineup. But I must say, both these attacks do look average with regard to how they've performed. When you give 277, you should be able to restrict 277 to 180, something like what KKR did versus the Delhi Capitals. Yes, the surfaces, they were behaved differently. But, I think one of the analysts on Ashwin's show yesterday had said very interestingly, இவங்க runs மட்டும் அடிக்க மாட்டேங்கிறாங்க, அவங்க அள்ளி கொடுக்குறாங்க towards the death. They're not only scoring the runs, they're also conceding as many towards the death. So you can see that. And if I think SRH have got to curtail the runs towards the death, because CSK's batting depth is at least until number 10. And if you bring in Thakur, then you've got almost every batter in your lineup batting, with Tushar's getting 100 in the Ranji semi-finals. So that speaks volumes of the batting depth. So it's going to be interesting on how they're going to handle the death bowling with regard to having three fantastic pacers, but you'll be forced to bowl a spinner, and that will be interesting to see on who they'll bowl. So coming on to the pitch report again, I've already gone over the pitch, but to go a little bit more in detail, second half you can expect it to slow down a little bit. How the power play, the second team, whichever team is batting second, how you go about in the power play is going to define the game's path, in my opinion. It's a little dry, and if it's going to stick off the surface, I won't be surprised if a spinner helms the new ball from the other end. And with Travis Head and Mayank Agarwal opening, I don't think CSK will be inclined towards, if Tikshana starts, that is, to start off with a spinner. I think they'll be more inclined towards bowling to pacers first, and towards the fifth over, let's bring on Tikshana, or let's bring on another spinner, and let's try out all our options. So I think it's going to be a mix and match day for the captains. You really don't know what to expect. I don't have a clear perspective on the pitch as of yet, but I'm expecting a good batting surface and an equally dry surface. It's not going to be easy to score towards the second half. First half, I'm expecting the batting team first to amass at least 200. So the toss will not play a major factor here, but I think the team that wins the toss will be more inclined towards batting first. Nothing else, but because also of the dimensions of the ground square of the wicket, and another being that another reason this is actually, you can say this to some extent, that if you bat first, you've got to the scoreboard pressure is always going to be there. Post the total and leave the scoreboard pressure for the second innings. And both CSK and SRH have looked like franchises that enjoy doing it. And I think I've touched upon most facets of this game. Tala Dhoni is coming off a great knock versus the Delhi Capitals. I shot a reel about it. It became a huge hit. Thank you so much for that. And, I think it's going to be interesting to see whether he walks in a position earlier. And I don't think he will, as much as we all requested him. Because even I had done it. But then I sat down and I thought practically, will MS Dhoni come one position ahead of Ravindra Jadeja? A left-hander batting at number 7 of Jadeja's pedigree is always a lucrative to have, and MS will walk out if the situation demands him to. If you have one over left and you have another 2, you have a 6 down, a 5 down, I'm going to see MS walk out. That's just my perspective. That's what I'm thinking. You have 5 down, in the 19th over, MS walks out, because I don't think any of the franchises this year will end with a spinner. So it's going to be interesting to see whether MS does walk out. And as far as who will be the highest scorer of the day, I'm going to call it Rutraj Gaikwad. I may go wrong because he has not been scoring he's not been among the runs, but he's always looked a good player against Gujarat Titans in the Sunrisers Hyderabad. So I'm calling it early. I think it's going to be Rutraj Gaikwad. Travis Head is close competition. Henrik Larsson, in my opinion, might just tonk under 40 today versus the Chennai Super Kings, courtesy some good spin bowling. I don't think the Pacers will have much of a part with that. And how Travis Head performs is going to be very crucial for the SRH. If he scores runs, then he'll be found in shallow waters with regard to CSK's bowling performance. I think Deepak Chahar has to pick him up early on. He has the ability to swing it both ways. Good level amount of swings, but I think Deepak Chahar is getting a little too repetitive. First 4 balls in swinging, and the 5th ball is leaving him, and the 6th ball is straightening up. So if that is what the batsmen are looking at right now, I think it's going to be quite predictable. So I hope he mixes it up nicely. And Deepak Chahar has got to come back to form. He's not looked at all in good touch, bowling at 125, 130. Yes, a lot of injuries has permeated his career, and that's led to a lot in his downfall with regard to pace. So I hope he comes back strong, and I hope he picks up some good wickets. And I think I've touched upon almost every single facet in this episode. So I think I'm ready to conclude with this. I am predicting CSK today, and last match I did go wrong in the CSK versus the Delhi Capitals game. But I really hope that CSK turn it on. It's going to be a good game of cricket. Two sides, yes, they're coming off losses, but both these sides have played some quality cricket throughout the tournament. I am calling CSK. Who do you think will win this match? Let me know in my comment section. Don't be biased like me. And once again, thank you so much for tuning into the show. I am the creator and host of this podcast. That's my Krishnan signing off. Have a delightful day.